Greetings and welcome to Match Play. I'm Ray Adams. Thanks for joining today. I am at the stunning Westin Kierland Golf Resort in Scottsdale, Arizona. We thank them so much for hosting us today. And I have a very special guest for you this month, and that is Mark O'Meara, PGA Tour player, 16 wins, Champions Tour player, many wins there. Of course, we know that he's World Golf Hall of Fame in 2015. How many times you get to have a World Golf Hall of Famer on the show, right? Mark, thank you so much for being with us. And you know what? We can probably shake hands.
I think so, Ray. We're both vaccinated.
We are.
You know, we're making the turn, you might say.
And we're all so grateful for that, too. And thanks so much for being here. And you're here for a very special reason. Tomorrow, we're going to film a full 1 hour special of this show here at Kierland Golf Resort. And you and your son, Sean O'Meara, are going to be playing a very important match for charity for Elevate Phoenix.
Right.
With Tom Lehman and his son, Thomas. You know those two guys?
I do. I know them very, very well. I know Tom, obviously, extremely well, and I realize that the Lehman family is rich in natural, great sports abilities. So Thomas, I know, is a good player.
They all are, and Thomas is a good player. They actually won this Father's Day match for a cause last year over the triplets by just one hole at the 18th.
Wow, that's exciting. So Sean and I, you know, we're hoping to play well tomorrow, but it's like you said, to really help the charity, Elevate Phoenix, you know, so much is involved in that. And the Lehmans are, you know, a tremendous family. Melissa and Tom have done a lot, obviously, for the community, and we're happy to help.
Well, thank you so much for that. And I know you also do a lot as well. We'll get to that a little bit later. But let's talk a little bit about Mark O'Meara and you coming up in golf. And obviously, there's 2 or 3 other things the folks are going to want me to talk to you about, Mark. But let's get about, I want to get to this. 13 years old, and he sneaks into Mission Viejo Country Club, and that's because you had, by that time, fallen in love with golf. Now, either you're already from another state, you're from North Carolina, right?
Right. So, to be honest with you, I was born in North Carolina, and by the time I was 13 years of age, I lived in Goldsboro, North Carolina, where I was born, Marietta, Ohio, Birmingham, Michigan, Long Island, New York, Dallas, Texas, Tustin, California, Wheaton, Illinois, back to Mission Viejo, California.
Because?
My dad was a furniture guy. He was in the furniture business, so he was always getting a new job, and we were always driving, my mom and my brother and my 2 sisters in the station wagon to our next state that we were going to live in. So, to be honest with you, I was a pretty messed up kid, you know, so it was hard to make friends. You know, when you get moved around that much as a young individual, it's difficult, you know, to make friends.
Did you sneak in because you were mischievous and thought it would be kind of a fun thing to do, or did you already like golf?
Well, I kind of like golf. My father played, but he never really took me to the golf course to play. But I remember when we lived in Dallas, we lived above a golf course, and I used to throw firecrackers with my brother at the golfers while they were playing, or we'd go hunt for golf balls. We did some, you know, crazy things like all young people do when they're younger. But I think what it was is when we moved back to California for the second time, you know, the golf course was right below the house. And, you know, I got in the garage and I swiped my mom's clubs and I just kind of hiked down the hill and started whacking golf balls.
With his mother's clubs. See, Mark learned to play with women's clubs. I think that's great.
Yeah.
Big surge of women playing golf around the world today. So see, that's what rubbed off on him and why he's a double major and a Hall of Famer. So let's get to Long Beach State. In college, you played some great golf, and in 1980, you graduated, marketing degree, and I graduated right around that same time too, so we have some things in common there. But there you then decided to turn pro, and you did so in none other than Ben Hogan's office?
Yes, sir.
Tell us the story.
Well, what happened was in my senior year at college at Long Beach State, I had a good summer that year. I won the California State Amateur in '79. I won the U.S. Amateur, the Mexican Amateur, the Southwest Amateur. Lost to Fred Couples, I think, in the semis in the Western Amateur. And then, as the story goes, as you pointed out, in '80, I got to play in the Masters as an amateur. I played in the U.S. Open as an amateur. I really wasn't very good. I didn't play that well, not like these kids today. But I remember in one tournament at Byron Nelson, I'd made the cut as an amateur, and I went over to look at the leaderboard, and I saw that I'd tied Jack Nicklaus, and I thought, well, if I can tie Jack Nicklaus, then I should think about turning pro.
Wow.
And so I waited to defend my amateur title. I got beat by Willie Wood in the second round in 1980 in the U.S. Amateur. Willie Wood beat me, and then I was on a plane, as you pointed out, right to Fort Worth the next day. Got a sport coat and a tie.
Why did you go there?
Well, because I'd always played Hogan stuff. Hogan equipment. Like when I won the amateur, I had a Hogan umbrella. I had Hogan clubs from driver, 3-woods, all my irons, everything was Hogan. But one of my good friends in Dallas is another friend with a guy named Gary Laughlin, who was Mr. Hogan's very tight friend. And he set up this whole meeting and the idea that I would turn pro in Mr. Hogan's office and represent the Hogan Company, and that's what happened.
And what was that like, just very quickly, you've got to tell us, what was that like for a very young, recent college grad who was the U.S. amateur champion? That's no small feat.
No.
It's one of your 3 most prized trophies, you say.
Yes,
we'll
sir.
talk about it. But what did Mr. Hogan say to you, and how was that like, where here you are with a legend?
Well, I was obviously nervous getting ready to go into Mr. Hogan's office, but I also realized that, if I acted too nervous, that wouldn't be the right way to go. So I tried to treat Mr. Hogan with respect and dignity, and I sat down across from him. He had a reporter there, and basically Mr. Hogan asked me about my life, how I got started, and I told him, I started late, obviously at 13 years of age.
Yeah.
And then I asked him about his life, how he got into the game of golf, and he explained to me about caddying and this and that, and how he got on the tour, and he wasn't very good at first, and he hooked the ball really, really badly, and he got off the tour, and he said, I on my own, I pieced this whole thing together and learned how to swing the club correctly and got back out there and fortunately did a lot better.
Mark contacted Ben Hogan. This was in the mid-'80s.
Early 80s, I wrote him a handwritten letter.
Wrote him a letter, said, can you please look at my swing? You weren't hitting it the way you wanted to at that time. You'd already won, though, I believe.
No.
Hadn't won yet?
Not yet. I lost in the playoff.
Okay, that's right. Phoenix
Tallahassee
Open.
and Phoenix, yep.
Okay. So anyway, Ben Hogan said, I don't give lessons, but when can you come by? You were headed to Colonial. What happened?
So what happened, it's interesting, Ray, we'll back up just a little bit, but my second year on the tour, I struggled with my swing, and I wrote this handwritten letter to Mr. Hogan, and he, like you said, he called me and said, hey, I don't teach, blah, 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 when do you think you could get here? And it just really didn't pan out. Then I'd met Hank Haney and changed my swing, got it more on an arc, and then a couple years later, he said, hey, I want to watch you hit some balls.
All right, so you did go, and he did watch you hit some golf balls, and the way I read the story, if I'm not mistaken,
this is all true.
Here is Ben Hogan now, mind you, with a young, still coming up professional PGA Tour player, and you hit some balls, and you said that you were striping him. I mean, you were just flagging him. You were hitting him pretty well, you thought. And you said, well, what do you think? And Ben Hogan looked at you and said, awful.
That's exactly what happened. I had just played in Japan the week before, and I had won a tournament in Japan in 1985.
What's it like for Ben Hogan to say awful?
Well, when he said that, I didn't know how to respond. And I finally looked back and I said to Mr. Hogan, boy, that really bodes well for my confidence this week here at Colonial. And then he kind of shook his head and he looked at me, he goes, Mark, what are you doing? And I said, sir? And he goes, where are you going? And I'm like, well, I got my degree at Long Beach State. I'm not the smartest guy, but I'm not sure what he goes, it's an easy question. Where are you going, son? And he kind of pointed out to the yellow flag that I was pretty much peppering with my 5-iron. And I said, sir, I'm going at that flag right there. And he goes, well, why do you got to go that way to go that way?
So you were moving around.
I think I was moving off the ball a little bit.
When Mark and I come back, we're going to find out the end of that story, and we're also going to talk about some of his favorite people and maybe a couple of people that he feared a little bit playing golf, and of course those 2 major championships. Stay right here with me.
We'll be back with more match play right after these messages.
Huh, Ridgeback. Ridgeback? That's pretty cool. So it's a brace for the face?
Ridgeback. Like the dog?
I'm really a cat guy. So what is it?
The best feeling and longest metal wood you'll ever hit.
Was that Bernhard?
Oh, great, Langer.
You know why I play Tour Edge? Because I win with it.
Pound for pound, nothing comes close.
You've heard me talk about Squares golf shoes and how they help you hit the golf ball further. And many of you are saying, oh, come on, Faldo, give us a break. How is that possible? But yes, they do. And it's proven with science.
What we noticed with the Square shoes was the shoe keeps the pressure in a more stable fashion towards inside of the trail heel, allowing pressure to get to the lead side, generating much more club and speed and distance gain.
Visit squares.com. Change your shoes, change your game. Squares, the distance golf shoe.
What's the difference between good and great? Good treats you like a customer. Great treats you like a friend. From saving your haircut details and clip notes to saving you time with online check-in, Great Clips makes your life easier, just like a great friend should. Great Clips, it's gonna be great. What's the difference between good and great? Good tries to get it right every time. Great actually does. With Clip Notes, we save your haircut details so you always get exactly the look you want. Great clips. It's gonna be great.
Our windows have a story to tell, shouldn't yours?
Hi, I'm Bill,
And I'm Kathleen.
and we're the owners of American Vision Windows.
New windows not only beautify your home,
To make your home quieter, safer, and more energy efficient.
see the difference new windows can make in your home.
This month only, 0 down, 0 interest, 0 payments for 12 months, plus free installation on 8 or more windows.
We're still revolutionizing the home improvement industry, one customer at a time.
Call now or visit AmericanVisionWindows.com.
Hey, check this out. I've got a proven new way for you to hit your drives longer, way longer. It's all about more speed, more than a driver, more than a ball. It's a system. It's easy, it's legal, and it's been designed just for you.
With the speed system, I just got ridiculously more distance, 20 plus yards. It works.
To find out how you can easily add 20 yards to your drives, go to add20yards.com right now. That's add20yards.com.
And now back to Match Play with your host, Ray Adams.
All right, welcome back to Match Play. We are with Mark O'Meara here at Kierland Golf Resort in Scottsdale, Arizona, continuing on. So Mr. Hogan gives you this awful, and then you kind of were taken aback, and he said, which way are you aiming? And you said there, and he said, well, why are you going over there? He then drives away. What happened?
So what happened was he got over and he set me up in kind of a starting block position like a racer, you know, with your feet. And he goes, I want you to hit a couple balls now, Mark, and I don't want you to move your lower body at all. Just take it back, don't move your lower body, and hit it. So I hit 3, Ray, and they were both semi-shanks, ugly shots to the right. And he looked after 3 shots, he goes, now that's way better, just do that. And he got in his golf cart and he drove off.
Did you do it?
No, Chris Cheddar, who played the LPGA Tour for a bit, it was a friend of mine, she was there. And I said to Chris, are you crazy? That was my lesson from Ben Hogan? I said, I'm not going to do that crap. Heck with Ben Hogan. I'll just stick with what I'm doing.
Well, whatever you stuck with, Mark, worked, because you went on and through your PGA Tour career, you won 16 times and certainly close many more. And of course, those 2 majors we're going to get to in just a second. But I've got to stop and ask you, names like John Cook and Fred Couples and even Tom Lehman, you played the Skins against and you beat him. And of course, Couples was right there. You thought he was going to hole that 18th hole bunker shot at the Masters when you won there. But these are names that really cross your path more often than not, especially John Cook, who you beat for the U.S. Amateur title. Tell me about the great guys and the relationships out there for you, Mark. Who were you close to during your years on the tour?
Well, you know, golf is such an individualistic game, but I would say that, you know, certainly John Cook, JC and I were pretty close because we're similar in age. He turned pro the year before I did, and, you know, he's had a great career on the PGA Tour, and we're still friends today, and that's kind of the way golf is. But yet, you know, the relationships that I've made with all my peers and my fellow players, as you pointed out, Tom Lehman, I've played on Ryder Cup teams with Tom.
Yeah.
We've competed against each other. And you know, they're not only hard-driven competitors that want to win at every level, but you just don't win that much, Ray, as you know. So we're always happy for somebody else's success when they have it.
Absolutely. I know Fred Couples, of course, and you crossed paths many times, and of course the 1998 Masters Championship. I've got to ask you the follow-up, though. Who did you fear out there, if anybody?
Well,
or that you were reluctant about knowing you were paired with them?
I think the most intimidating player, certainly it was always a little intimidating when you play with Mr. Nicklaus or Mr. Palmer. I was able to play with a lot of those greats of the game that really set the stage for me to fall in love with the game. But I thought one of the most fearful guys that I ever played with was Raymond Floyd. Raymond Floyd always had this way about him that he was so smooth and a little intimidating in the way he chipped and putted and played. Yeah, I'd say Raymond Floyd was one of the most intimidating guys that I played with.
Hale Irwin was just on this show.
He's pretty intimidating.
What about
too.
Hale? Tell me a Hale story.
Well, I'll tell you the Hale story. I played with Hale Irwin in the 1980 U.S. Open at Baltusrol. I was paired the first 2 days with the defending U.S. Open champion, which was Hale, and Seve Ballesteros, who was the defending Open champion that year in 1980 because he had won in '79. And I'm the U.S. Amateur champion, and we played the first day together as a threesome. I think Seve shot 78, I shot 79, Hale shot 70 or 69. He was on the leaderboard. The next day we played in the morning, and Sevy didn't show up. He whiffed his tee time. So it was just the twosome, Hale and I. And we played around, and as I pointed out before, Ray, I wasn't really that good, and I'm going to shoot another 79, and Hale's shooting 1 under, and we're coming up the 18th hole at Baltusrol, and I'll never forget, we hit our drives, and we laid up over the ditch, and we were walking to our third shot. And I kind of came over, Hale and I were walking together, and I looked at Hale, and I knew Hale, and I said, hey, Hale, I hope I have, I'm an amateur, I'm not that good, I hope I haven't gotten in the way. And he put his arm around me, he goes, Mark, let me give you a piece of advice. And I'm like, okay. He goes, first of all, I could really care how you play. Second of all, I hope you kind of play like crap. The sooner you learn that, the better off you'll be. Tap me on the shoulder.
Oh my goodness.
That's the kind of competitor that Hale Irwin is. And I respected him, and I thought that was classic.
So I've heard that there are certain players, and Hale was a teddy bear. What a great guy. What a great
competitor, though.
What a competitor.
No one like Hale
Unbelievable. Well, I asked him about it. I talked to him about it on camera, about his competitiveness and intimidation factor.
Fierce.
But I've heard from some players, some of the legends of the game, that there were guys out there that if you made a bogey, they were just mad that you didn't make a double bogey.
Yeah. Well, I think that's one of those hidden things that really doesn't get talked that much about, Ray.
Dirty little secret.
Little secret, you might say. And my feeling is look, I can only control myself out there on the golf course. And, I don't really wish ill will on anybody out there on the course. Now, there's probably a few players that I've played with over my career that I would tell you that, I prefer, they're not really close friends of mine. They wouldn't be the way Mark O'Meara might be on the golf course. So, I don't pull against them, nor do I pull for them.
Mark, I have to talk to you about your Masters. I have to talk to you about your British Open Championship. We're going to do that when we come back. The Open Championship is what we all know it as. And I want to do that when we come back in just a second, but I've got to get 30 seconds in. Why at age 41?
I think, Ray, probably the biggest thing was I lowered my expectations. Nobody expected me to play like that in '98 or win a major championship. Nobody had me on the radar screen, and there I was.
Mark, when we come back, we're going to talk about how Tiger Woods inspired and motivated you said, for that 1998 Masters win and more. Stay with me on Match Play TV.
We'll be back with more Match Play right after these messages.
Introducing Flag Assist, the simple, easy-to-use pin attachment that's changing the way people play the game. Flag Assist attaches to the flag pin to allow for faster, easier ball retrieval while eliminating turf damage around the cup. Fully allowable under the rules of golf, Flag Assist is customizable, creating new avenues for course promotion, advertising revenue, and enhanced guest experiences. Visit flagassistgolf.com to see what it can do for your course.
Bobby Jones, 30 years of classic style for the modern man, now brings you the Jones Performance Cotton Polo. Lightweight and luxurious cotton hand feel with moisture-wicking comfort. The Jones Performance Cotton Polo is engineered with an exclusive blend of carefully selected cotton and the optimal balance of modal and spandex. It's the perfect combination of classic styling and modern fabric technology. Get it all in the Jones Performance Cotton Polo.
Cold weather golf just got a lot warmer. Introducing the G-Tech Sport 2.0 heated pouch. Don't let the low temperature keep you from going low on the course. If the pros trust G-Tech to play their best, you should too. Available now at gtechapparel.com.
You've heard me talk about Squares golf shoes and how they help you hit the golf ball further. And many of you are saying, oh, come on, Faldo, give us a break. How is that possible? But yes, they do. And it's proven with science.
What we noticed with the Square shoes was the shoe keeps the pressure in a more stable fashion towards the inside of the trail heel, allowing pressure to get to the lead side, generating much more club and speed and distance gain.
Visit squares.com. Change your shoes, change your game. Squares, the distance golf shoe.
And now back to Match Play with your host, Ray Adams.
Welcome back to Match Play TV with Mark O'Meara here at the Westin Kierland Golf Resort in Scottsdale, Arizona. Mark, when we went out, I said that you had told people that Tiger Woods inspired and motivated you after his great 1997 Masters win of the ages to go on yourself that year and win in 98. Tell me about that inspiration.
Well, Ray, to be fair, I mean, when he moved into to Orlando to Isleworth there, I mean, it was in 96 and he wasn't a pro yet. He just gotten ready to turn pro. And, being around somebody that's that special, that hits the ball that well, and then certainly playing with him in 97, the week before at Isleworth when he shot the 59. Then we went on to watch him win the Masters in 97 in a record-breaking fashion.
Yeah.
I think just playing practice rounds and being around him helped motivate me for sure.
Yeah. When you say that you were motivated and inspired, did you tend to work out more? Did you get a little bit more focused on your swing, your putting? What was it that happened when you're age 41 and no one expected you? You said the expectations weren't any.
Right.
What happened though?
Well, I think that was probably the biggest thing. I was on that list of next best players to have never won a major championship. And at 41, we had played practice rounds together, and I wasn't hitting the ball well. I wasn't putting well.
Yeah.
My confidence wasn't very good.
Yeah.
So basically, I had everything stacked against me. And I shot 74 the first round. So
yeah.
I just think sometimes, when you really want something really badly and you try almost too hard, and in majors we all realize how important major championships are, that maybe I just tried too hard, or and maybe I felt like my time had come and passed. And so as soon as I got on my own way, the door opened up.
Well, it opened up all week long, and you ended up coming down to the 18th last shot of the game into the 18th hole. And you and Fred Couples are there, and you're thinking as you're walking toward the 18th green, I read where you said, I'm thinking Fred Couples is going to hole out this bunker shot at the 18th green on Sunday afternoon at the Masters, so I've got to birdie.
I got to make this putt to time.
That was a mind. You were playing tricks with yourself.
Well, I think, listen, you're very, very nervous in that situation. Everybody is. Tiger Woods, you name it. If you're not nervous, you're not human. So for me, on the 18th hole, coming up there, that was my self-talk. My self-talk was, look, I'd marked my ball. It was about an 18-footer, that famous putt that's just right of the green, right of the flag pin high, from right to left break. And Fred was in the bunker, and I said to myself, he's going to hoop this. He's going to make birdie. I'm going to have to hold this to tie him. And, he hit a great bunker shot rate of about 4 feet.
Yeah.
But then my mindset went on to, I never once thought that if I make this putt, I win the Masters.
Right.
Or I get the green jacket.
And that was good.
I think you have to. You can't ever think ahead of yourself. You just have to. You can only control right now. I can't control what happens afterwards, and it really worked out for me.
But you did make that putt.
I did, and I was more in shock and disbelief as to what the hell just happened. When you see my arms and hands go up in the air with my putter, kind of the famous thing, and everybody's standing up going crazy, I was like, whoa, what just happened?
You were more surprised than the whole rest of the world was.
Absolutely.
And then in the Butler cabin, Tiger Woods, of course, putting the green jacket on, and you guys struggled to get it on.
Yeah.
Funny story that when they went away to break, you said, Tiger, what's up with the jacket? And he said,
I've never put a sport coat on anybody, because if you ever watch the film of it, he got my left arm in there quick, but then he raised, because he's obviously taller than I am, he had the right arm up so high that I couldn't get my arm in there, and finally I had to look back and tell him to lower the jacket a little bit so I could get my arm in there, and we went to commercial break, as you pointed out, and I'm like, Tiger, what the heck was that all about? He goes, I've never put a sport coat on anybody. How the heck would I know how to do that, Mark?
Masters champion, a couple of 2 or 3 months later, you go on to Royal Birkdale in England. It is windy, it is chilly, it is rainy, but you love Pebble Beach. You actually have said, like Nicklaus, if you only had one round to play again, you'd like to play it at Pebble Beach.
That would be it.
You want to play it with Mr. Palmer, Mr. Nicklaus, and Mr. Tiger Woods is your dream foursome in you.
Yep.
So you're a links guy.
Yes,
and of
sir.
course you won Pebble Beach in that AT&T Pro-Am golf tournament many times.
Yes, sir.
So here you are at Royal Birkdale. It's inclement weather. Take me through that win.
Well, I think people have to realize, like in '89, I played a European Tour event there at Birkdale, and I won on the European Tour at Birkdale. And then in '91, I was tied for the lead after 54 holes at Birkdale and paired with Ian Baker Finch in the final group.
Who won?
And Ian Baker Finch went on to win the Open Championship in '91. And then 7 years later, as you pointed out, I come across as the Masters champion. And I'm in the second to last group with Jim Furyk. And, lo and behold, I had the chance. I was in the 4-hole playoff with Brian Watts.
Yes, you were. And you ended up,
making
your putts, and you win the Open Championship a couple of months later. So much so that this Scottish and Irish and English and Open Championship golf causes you, in your beautiful home in Southern Highlands in Las Vegas, you built, and I think for the second time, the bunker that's at number 17 at St. Andrews, the road hole bunker in your backyard.
Well, my close buddy Weston Weber at Celebrity Greens, he redid.
He gets a free shout out.
He redid my green up in Park City, and we came with the idea of making a sod face bunker, just like in Scotland at the old course St. Andrews. You know, those were the hazards around there, and so we did it up there, and then I decided I wanted to do the same thing in Vegas, and we have, and it's really fun. I mean, at night I have little teeny LED lights, so it shines on the wall, the face of the wall, and people are super intrigued when they see it, right?
I read somewhere that said, I'm quoting Mark, I'm a little bit of a landscape freak.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Why are you?
I just love landscape. I love flowers. I like color. I like planning. I like taking care of them. And right now, our place in Vegas, because now the temperatures are starting to warm up a little bit, it just looks, I'm very proud of it, you know, and it's something that's a hobby for me.
Mark, I know a lot of things off course you love to do. You love to fish, but also you love to snowmobile, and you and your son even kind of got caught on a mountain overnight one time. Tell me about that.
This would have been about 12 years ago on Christmas Eve. Sean and I went up and we were riding in the back country, and a storm was coming in, but it wasn't that big a deal. And we needed to get off because the other person we were riding with was a police officer friend of mine that needed to go on the force that evening. And I dropped us into this narrow area on the backside of this mountain that had been timbered in the summertime.
Oh yeah.
And next thing you know, we didn't get off the mountain until 11:30 Christmas Eve, and everybody thought we had passed away or gotten an avalanche. And I mean, it was pretty hairy, I must say.
Well, at least you were with Sean, and you guys turned out to be okay. Lots of good stuff there. Tell me about your design business. I know you designed the golf course where you have your home up in Park City, Utah.
I've done 4 courses, to be honest with you, Ray. I mean, I was involved, obviously, in the course at Tuhey at Park City, where I live up there, and then I've done one north of Toronto up in Muskoka called Grandview. Did a golf course outside of Dublin, Ireland called Carton House, and then I co-designed a little bit on the course in LA, so for the tour. But you know, that's a tough business, you know, and my real deal is I still play, you know, I want to play and get better.
Yeah. Well, you are playing. You're playing on the Champions Tour. You're getting ready to play again here pretty quickly. Lots of great things going on with Mark O'Meara today on Match Play TV. Thank you so much, Mark, for joining us and for telling us about your life and encouraging us, inspiring us to all be better golfers. And yeah, you can get better too, and even later in life, just like Mark O'Meara. Stay with us for more on Match Play TV.
Huh, Ridgeback. Ridgeback? That's pretty cool. So it's a brace for the face?
Ridgeback. Like the dog?
I'm really a cat guy. So what is it?
The best feeling and longest metal wood you'll ever hit.
Was that Bernhard?
Oh, great, Langer. You know why I play Tour Edge? Because I win with it.
Pound for pound, nothing comes close.